This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSPORT Fan Network.
TalkSPORT. Powered by fans.
Styles with a save. Trent for the second here. A classic counter-attack, and Gibbs White puts Nottingham Forest 2 ahead. Here's Wood. 1-0 Forest. Has made an even bigger difference there. Nottingham Forest have snatched the lead at Anfield.
Hello, welcome to this edition of Red Side of Trent, here to talk about Sean Dyche, incoming manager. It's never boring on Trent's side. And to join me, you always seem to be available at these crazy times, Mason, but joining me is Mason Coy. How are you?
I'm good, mate. Thank you. Yeah, see, everything seems to happen in half term, mate. Obviously, whereas I've got a lot of time to myself. So, yeah, I'm always available.
First initial thoughts on Dyche coming in.
The more I've thought about it, the more content I'll say I am with it. Obviously, I was on the pod previously when we was talking about him, and I was saying I'd want anyone but Ange. But I'm 80%, mate. I'm happy because he's better than Ange, but that wasn't hard to find. Let's be honest. There's bits of me where I'm like, yeah, he'll get a tune out of players, but there's certain parts of me where I'm a bit like I think you said it on the last pod with Reece and Christian, where it's like, is it too soon to be having a firefighter type of manager? Obviously, I know he doesn't want that label, but for me, I would have obviously loved Marco Silva, but I'm not a financial expert. I don't know the ins and outs of FFP, and if it would have got us in trouble, then yeah, this is obviously the right choice. Mancini was obviously the other name mentioned. That would have either been ridiculously great or it'd have been the biggest car crash I've ever seen, and probably it'd have lasted less time than Ange did. But yeah, I think Dyche is probably sensible in terms of short term. But then I've just read Ornstein's tweeted that he's got a long term contract, so I'm a bit like, I don't really know how to feel, but I'm more positive than negative, mate.
Yeah, I mean, I think. I've been on Sky and said, like, I don't understand the label of being a firefighter. And I mean, I say this, I'm probably contradicting myself because he's only done that once at a football club with Everton when they was in dire straits with ourselves getting a points deduction. Do you know what I mean? But maybe like, I think it's just because of his stereotype, maybe. Do you know, like at Burnley, he played 4-4-2. He had like a load of English. I think he had like a 1 to 11 of English players because Burnley didn't really like do foreigners that much, to be fair, in his time there. They were hard working and yeah, do you know what I mean? Like, you've got people like Ashley Barnes and Chris Wood up front who are a big like lump sort of thing, and Tarkowski at the back. So maybe he's just been branded with that because of the type of players he's been given. So maybe like at Forest, when you've got people like Douglas Luiz and Elliot Anderson and Callum Hudson-Odoi and people like that, maybe we'll see a different side to him. So I'm intrigued to see what's going to happen, really. And like the stats say that he prefers a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3. So I think that would suit us down to a ground. I don't know if you agree with or disagree with that.
Yeah, no, I agree with you with your first point. I think it comes more down to style that he's got that firefighter label. I think he's always obviously had the Everton one that was firefighter, because that was either you've had the points deduction, you're in a world of trouble, weren't they, at that point? Obviously, without the points deduction, I think they'd have finished 10th. So he obviously did a great job. I think at Burnley, it was obviously, like you said, it was the style, but it was also, they were always near the relegation zone. Obviously, they had the European season where they finished 7th, was it?
Yeah.
And they were brilliant. But even then, they played long into two strikers. So yeah, they have obviously, I think that's where the titles come from. But like you said, he's never really had expansive kind of players. I think Iliman Ndiaye is probably the biggest player that he's had who's expansive. We've got an abundance of them, so we almost haven't got a choice but to play good football in the final third. I'm not saying necessarily the build-up's going to be pretty. I think under Dyche, I think we'll more than likely be a team where we'll just get the ball forward as quickly as possible. It doesn't matter whether that's in the air or on the floor. I think we'll get the ball wide, and like you just said, we've got likes of Hudson-Odoi. I think he'll get the best out of people like Hutchinson and your Dan and Doys and players like that, because I do think we'll be predominantly crossing from wide. I think we'll be very wide when we're attacking. So, and the 4-2-3-1, I think we played it all last year, mate. It's players know their roles roughly, and obviously there'll be a few tactical tweaks, but 4-2-3-1's a simple formation. I think if you chucked us lot in a charity match, which obviously we do with Red Side, I think we play 4-2-3-1. Everyone knows the role, don't they? Everyone knows your role. If you know football, you know your role in a 4-2-3-1.
Yeah.
So it will be back to basics. It will be effective football. I don't want to call it ugly football because it's not. And like we've touched on in the chat this morning, people moaned when we got Ange because of his style of play. People moaned when we got Nuno because of his style of play. And people are probably moaning about Dyche now because of his style of play. You're never going to win. You're never going to please everyone. I think if we win matches, we won't be talking about style of play. Who cares? We just want to win matches. And if that gets us far in the Europa League and gets us climbing up the Premier League table, then I think everyone will be more than happy, including myself.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be harsh to say that it's ugly football, because we was like we were used to that last season, and I think like players like Milenkovic and Murillo, maybe not Murillo so much because I think he's got a bit more about him, but definitely Milenkovic and maybe Sells, Nico Williams, Savona, I know when he comes back, I think will very, very much suit the football. But I do think we've got the ability to be more expansive than just going long ball, but at the same but I think we all know what we're going to get. We're going to be defensively sound. We're going to work hard. We're going to like wear our hearts on our sleeves. I just think it's a kind of a good fit. But at the moment, I've still got that in that little thing in my head, and I think you probably agree, and I think a lot of Forest fans will agree that might be listening to this, that it's just not that sexy, is it? It's not a sexy appointment, so you're just kind of a bit like we're meant to be trying to progress, but this doesn't seem progress. It seems like we tried to take a step forward, but we actually tried to do a 100-meter sprint, and now we've had to go back to like jogging or walking. I mean, I'm just very, very interested to see how it's going to work. I'm interested to see what sort of players get opportunities now, because people are obviously going to clamour that Ryan Yates is going to come back in. I personally don't see that. It's not a dig at Ryan Yates per se. I just think Dyche has had players who are better than him and used them. I think at Everton was evident that Decore, Idris Gay, James Garner, all technically better. I think Jack Cork and Ashley Westwood were better than him. I just think the four or five that we've got in there that are ahead of Ryan Yates currently will still be ahead of him come Thursday or Sunday when we play Bournemouth. Do you know what I mean? So are you quite excited to get behind him in terms, at least because he's got that Nottingham connection?
Yeah, I'm excited to see how he gets on. I think, like you said, then it will work hard. I'd rather run over teams. I'd rather run over every single one of the opposition players than pass around them constantly and not create chances. Because for me, just going back to previous, and the Chelsea game was a bit of a myth that first half for me. I've obviously listened to your pod with Reece and Christian, and they said we had chances in the first half. The chances in the first half didn't come from us playing beautiful attacking football. It came from Chelsea mistakes. And for me, he was an attacking manager, but he's left 125 million pounds worth of attacking talent, not even in the squad. That's not a good manager in my eyes. For me, I'd rather have no defenders on the bench if I'm an attacking manager. So obviously he was in fight or flight at that point, wasn't he? So, and obviously the putting Tyrell up top just confirm that. But yeah, in terms of your question, mate, I'm more than happy to get behind him. I'd rather run over teams instead of passing to death. I think effectiveness is the key word. I think we'll be very effective. We'll work hard. He'll get tunes out of players. He'll give them a little kick up the backside when they're needed, but he'll also put an arm around them. I think I can't remember who it was. I think I listened to someone talking about him on a podcast, and they were saying his man management is second to none. And I think that's what we need at the moment, because obviously we've got players who are out of form. You've got your Gibbs Whites, you've got Sells, Milenkovic even, who are struggling. Let's be honest, they're struggling. You've got players who, even Hudson-Odoi, they're not playing how we know they can play, and they need a little arm around them or a kick up the backside. And I think Dyche will figure out who needs a kick up the backside and who needs a little arm. I think players like your Hutchinsons will more than likely need a little arm around them and say, I'll look after you. Like, we thought that Andrew's going to do that, but then I think he's treated him very poorly as well, to be honest.
It sounds like there's a report that's saying that it sounds like the players weren't Ange at all. They weren't
and I think you can tell that. And there is blame to go on the players. There is blame to go on them, because the be all and end all is no matter what instruction they get given, whether it's right or wrong, they go on the pitch and they've got to execute that. And I don't think the players have put themselves in a good light, to be honest. They've been well under par. And obviously you've got a few that have stepped up. I think Jaya Cunha was excellent at Newcastle. I think Morata on the whole obviously wasn't necessarily the best against Chelsea, but I thought on the whole Morata was pretty good under Ange. But you've got players now who are going to have to. We need to get them back to the best. That's the be all and end all. We need to get them back to the best. And if you was going to ask me whether that was going to be anyone, whether that was going to be a manager from abroad or a Dyche, if they were going to get the best out of these players, then I'm backing them all the way. And obviously, you've got the connection with Woan and Stone coming back. You've got everything there for it to be a recipe for success, which obviously we're hoping it is. And like you just touched on Yates, then I don't see the correlation. I never understand this, that like when managers come in and, oh, well, he's going to play loads more now. They'll pick their best 11. If he's not in the best 11, he's not going to play. It's as simple as that. And on paper, Ryan Yates isn't in our best 11. I love the bloke. I think it was brilliant what he did at the weekend, where he came out and he was the one who fronted all the terrible interviews that he had to do. That's a captain. I rate that highly. I do. But in terms of football, if Sean Dyche is picking his best 11, Ryan Yates isn't in that. And that's football. He still has his part to play. He'll play games, and I'm happy with that. But I couldn't care less who's in midfield, whether that's Dyche himself goes and puts his boots on. Do you know what I mean? I couldn't care less if we're winning games. Like, I don't understand this clamour. I've seen so many tweets this morning saying, "Oh, yeah, that's Yates back in." Why should never be your first thought? Your first thought should be, how's he going to get the best out of our players? When are we going to start winning games? When are we getting out of this rut? It shouldn't be about Ryan Yates. Do you know what I mean? Like, I appreciate your point. Your point is right. It's valid. And you're just responding off the back of all them tweets. But like, it shouldn't be about Ryan Yates. Yeah, he's our club captain, but it should be about the club. It's not Ryan Yates FC. It's not Sean Dyche FC. It's Nottingham Forest. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't understand this clamour all of a sudden. Yes, Yates is going to come back in, get Sangare out or whoever it is. Support the team, support your players. Whoever plays, you're backing them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, I think if he's playing 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1, I think we've just got too many better players, and I just think as long as they're doing what he wants in terms of working hard, which I think we've got that in abundance, I think they'll play in front of him. Unfortunately, as much as people might hate for me to say that and think I've got a vendetta or whatever against the lad, I really haven't. It's just football, like you've just said, Mace. But I think one thing I think he will bring, Dyche, and I think it's massive team spirit. I think you heard about it loads at like Burnley or wherever, where they had like a wheel and they were doing like strip teasers in the changing room, and there was like good atmosphere all the time. People were like actually enjoying coming to work. I think he'll bring that back. I think he'll bring that feel good factor back. I guarantee in his first press conferences, he'll mention us or we as a collective, and I think that's all something that will get fans on board. It'll get us eating out of the palm of his hand. But the thing is, I think that's how every manager should go into every single football club, because supporters are always going to be there before, now, and after every single manager and player. Like, we are the heartbeat of a football club at the end of the day. As a cliche as that is, it's absolutely true, because at the end of the day, if you've got fans in the ground, then you've always got a chance. And if they're not here, then it's who you're playing for. Do you know what I mean? What are you doing? Like, and footballers want to play in front of people. That's the whole point of it, isn't it? So I'm intrigued with that. I've got I've just gone on Transfer March, just look at his finishes as manager there at Burnley, especially. So in the Championship, he took over from Eddie Howe and finished 11th. Then he finished second, so getting promoted. He got relegated in the first season in the Premier League, unfortunately. Went back up as champions in the Championship. Came 16th, then got 7th in the Europa League, where they only scored 36 goals, but only let in 39. Unfortunately, then had a bit of a drop-off, coming 15th. Got back up to 10th. Then went to 17th, and he got relieved of his duties, and the caretaker manager there obviously sent him down. So a mixed bag, but I just know for a fact, and I don't even need to look this up, I know he didn't really get backed. I think the most they spent on a player was like 5 million on Jack Cork. And so I've just got this feeling that it's going to work better for him. I don't know why. I don't know what makes me think that. I think it's more, it's hope, isn't it? Hope that kills you. But I just think our squad's too good to be where it is at the moment, and I think it is salvageable. I think he's got a point to prove, and I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, I think he's come out himself on a few podcasts quite recently and said, "I've never had money to work with, so judge me after I've had money to work with." And I think it's not necessarily money to work with. The squad's there now. The squad. Will be no doubt the best squad that he's worked with. He'll be walking around and he'll be turning corners in the training ground, going, "Oh wow, there's a Douglas Luiz, there's an Elliot Anderson, there's a Morgan Gibbs White, there's a Chris Wood, and behind Chris Wood, I've got an Igor Jesus, I've got a Cali Mwendo," and he'll be looking around, going, "Wow, I've got this embarrassment of talent, really. It's ridiculous because it is." And I've said it on the last podcast, it's the best squad since I've been alive. And if you can't get a tune out of it, then we've got to start looking internally more than the manager, because there's something fundamentally wrong if no one can get a tune out of these players, because the talent that we've got is outrageous. It is. It's ridiculous. I think read today, this morning, sorry, that our squad is like the 13th most expensive in the world.
This is ridiculous, isn't it?
According to transfer market values, which usually are quite bang on. So you look at it and you're like, wow, he's got a brilliant squad to work with. And if you compare that to your DCL and your Beto compared to our three strikers, it's night and day. If you compare it to your Dwight McNeil's to your Hudson Odoi, your Iliman and Jai to Morgan Gibbs White is probably very close, because I really rate Iliman and Di. But then Jack Harrison on the right, and you look at our players that can play on the right, and you're like, wow, it's night and day. So yeah, I think he'll be looking forward to it, and almost looking forward to shutting a few people up, I think. And because like you say, he's got this title of he's a firefighter, and I think that is down to style and almost the way he looks. He's got his me money or to woke nonsense, and it's true,
and the croaky voice,
and his voice where it sounds like he's eating gravel. So but like you just said, if I listen to his first presser and it's us and we and not I won trophies, and he's giving eye contact like an adult, it will be the best thing ever, because it will get fans back on side instantly. I think the Porto atmosphere will be brilliant, and if we score a first goal there, I think we're off to a flyer, because just because of, like you said, the atmosphere that he can bring to a changing room. He has his manager's day in training. I think that's a known fact, where there's a day where he can just run the players into the ground. But if that gets them fitter, it builds stuff. I just feel like you said, the players never really bought into what Andrew was trying to bring, because I think it was too much of a gear shift. We've tried to go from gear 1 to gear 6, and it just was never going to work that quickly. That's also on the owner. But I think he knows that, judging by his face at the weekend and the early exit. I think he knows he made a boo-boo, really. So yeah, let's see. And I'm all for it. I'm going to get behind him. I think I said on the last pod I weren't going to buy a ticket, and I'm already looking on the ticket exchange for Porto. But yeah, it's one of them. So I'm extremely happy that we've come to this conclusion really quickly. It should have been done. Let's be honest. It should have been done either after Newcastle. After Newcastle was the one. I've read a couple of articles that said he was thinking of a change after the Midtjylland game, and you can see why, because of the hostile atmosphere.
Yeah.
But Newcastle was the one for me, and I think if Dyche had been in 2 weeks, I think we'd have beat them at the weekend. I think we would have beat Chelsea at the weekend, because they were there for the taking. Because first off, let's be honest, they weren't at the races. They weren't very good.
They were pudding, weren't they?
Yeah, they were very, very poor. Obviously, second half, they bring on world-class players. It's going to change. In Caicedo, sorry, he was brilliant, and you could see the lift of it gave all their players. And I think it was very. I put in our group chat, and I think no one really seemed to. I didn't obviously put it across very well. No one really seemed to understand my point of view when I said the first half was very Newcastle. Yeah, we were probably better against Chelsea, but it was huff and puff. But I feel like we were just papering over the cracks. And as soon as Chelsea upped it one gear, scored the first goal, that game was finished.
Yeah,
that game was finished. I don't think we'll see games like that under Dyche. Maybe, obviously, the odd time, but not as consistently as we did under Ange. So yeah, I'm all for it, mate.
I think the one thing I'm definitely taking from what you know about Dyche is, because we're going to refer back to type in terms of Nuno. I had a look as well at what his average kind of possession was in his spell at Burnley and Everton, and it's like between 38 and 40 something %. So it's actually a little bit more than just low block football you'd imagine there, like it was under Nuno for a majority of the time. But I think because most of our players will be used to that style of football, of like sitting behind and being compact and being organised, I don't think then like there's no change then from what was successful last season. So surely then you'd think, well, players will buy into that immediately, and then hopefully then once you get that stepping stone, maybe we get if we beat Porto, that's the first one, and then if we go to Bournemouth and get a result, then I think that's when you start building your confidence, don't you? Like you know full well, Mason, having played at a decent level, do you know what I mean? And I've played at Summit, but do you know what I mean? Like it does it in everything across the board and in every sport. Just start building that confidence, and I do think we'll start seeing like tiny implements of what he wants us to do, and I don't think it'll just be so kamikaze FC type thing. But who I've just got a question, which is who do you think might thrive under Sean Dyche? Is it, or is there a collective of players? There's obviously a lot of players out of form, but is there anyone that's out of the blue might get a bit more of a chance and maybe a bit more of a, I don't know, upgrade, I guess?
Yeah, I think the obvious ones are your Sells and your Milenkovic's, but I'm the one that for some reason popped into my head straight away. I think Wood will be first choice striker, but I think once he sees how Igor Jesus plays, I do feel like he'll be the one. He'll be the one for him, especially as a more. He'll probably play similar amount of minutes to Wood, really, because obviously we've got a lot of games. I think, like I touched on earlier, I do feel we'll get the ball wide very quickly. It'll be effective football. Whether that's in the air or on the floor, I do think we'll get the ball wide. I think you'll see the best out of the wingers because we'll be 1v1 situations. We'll be crossing the ball quite a lot. And I think once he realises the balls that Hutchinson can whip in and Hudson-Odoi with Jesus running onto them, I think he'll get a few goals under him. Like I said, touched on before, he's gone from DCL and Beto to Wood and Igor Jesus. It's night and day. So I do think we'll see the best out of Igor Jesus. Obviously, he's been brilliant so far this season. I think every time he's been on, he's nearly scored.
Yeah,
so
should
I
have scored
think
the weekend.
yeah, and I do think the way that Dyche has played previously, if he does, obviously he could come in and completely mix it up, but I doubt that. I think it suits him. I do think it suits him, and obviously it suits the likes of Chris Wood, who's a one-touch finisher. And if the balls are coming in the box at a rate of knots that they have done when we've played Sean Dyche teams recently, the game against Everton at home springs to mind. We got ran over. We got bullied. We got absolutely bullied that day, and we got ran over. And there was crosses from left, right, and centre, and we didn't know what to do. We couldn't deal with it.
Yeah,
we could not deal with it. So if that's the case, then yeah, I'd say your wingers and Igor Jesus.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. I think Hudson-Odoi, like he frustrates me with crossing because I just think like he should be better than he is, and I'm hoping that maybe Dyche gives him that kick up the backside to up his level, because he's someone that I thought in pre-season looked like he was on it and he was going to like really take the and especially with getting that new contract, it's like he's come off down a level because he's got that new contract now, and it's like but I don't think he's slacked off. I just think it's been a bad run of form for a lot of them, and I've just got this feeling that Dyche is a motivator and he'll get them back going. I'm trying to be as positive as I can be. I know there's going to be doubts from lots of people. I've seen it on Twitter. There's lots of people that are quite happy with it. There's lots of people that aren't happy with it. I don't know where I kind of sit, Mason. I lean more towards being happy with it because I know what we're going to get and I know what we're good at, which is being compact and defensive and being on the counter, which is good to bring. But we've also kept speaking about being progressive and everything else. I think if we'd come like 13th last season and got Dyche in after the Nuno thing had happened, then we might be talking a bit differently. But because we come 7th last season and we're in Europe, it's a different conversation and different context. So we'll see. I think he's going to be excited about the European competitions anyway. He might get sunburnt in some places, I guess.
Yeah, well, if you look at how Sean Dyche teams have played in the past, and you look at the two teams that we've played in Europe, if we play like how Sean Dyche team should play, we run all over them teams. We do. I think Europe will actually suit us probably more than obviously than the Premier League because it's a bit more physical. So your teams like a Porto, or especially the worst teams that we're going to be coming up against, obviously they're still decent. They're in Europe for a reason, but the lesser teams, let's say, we should be running all over them. We should be running all over them. We've got the tools now that Sean Dyche loves, and more than he's ever worked with. Like you just said, like when you were speaking, then all I could think about was the Amari Hutchinson cross to Chris Wood, Sunderland, and that Dyche will be looking at that going, "I'm having a bit of that. I'm all over that." Yeah. And then you're looking at Hudson-Odoi's crossing. I know, like you said, he can frustrate, but then there's so many times where he's whipped beautiful balls in and it's begging for a touch. You look at the likes of Douglas Luiz, his ball he put in at the weekend on that free kick was outrageous.
Yeah.
It's outrageous. And Dyche will be looking at that and licking his lips, thinking, yeah, I've got goals here. People, that's another thing that people are saying. His team don't score a lot of goals. But the players in his team have never scored goals, wherever they've been, really. Calvert-Lewin had a bit of a purple patch, didn't he, when he started at Everton? But since then, he's been horrendous. He hasn't been able to keep fit. Beto is not known for his goal scoring. Burnley obviously had Barnes and Wood who were decent when under him, but until last season, Wood was never prolific. Yeah, he'd get you 10 goals a season, but he was never prolific, was he? So
yeah.
This is what I mean. We've got keys that he's never had before. So, like I say, he'll be walking around the training room absolutely buzzing, buzzing. And I think if that can infect the team, you can get Arna back, obviously, in the next couple of months, hopefully. I think him and Dyche might be the best bromance we've ever seen, to be honest. It could be the best thing ever. Like you said, with the changing room antics and manager's day, training in shin pads, just things like that, little things like that. Like,
can you imagine training in shin pads?
The thing is that they're
hilarious.
They're little things from the outset where your likes of Bakwa and Kalimawendo and players who have come from abroad might be looking, thinking, who is this bloke here? But after a few weeks, once players start buying into it, but that comes with wins, by the way. Once he starts picking up points, or hopefully, fingers crossed, he starts picking up points, players buy into it, you will start to see an upturn in the atmosphere of the whole place. I think you will. And like we've touched on previously, I think the players never bought into Ange. I don't think they did. And Marinakis got that drastically wrong. He got that drastically wrong, but he's corrected it. He's corrected it. So let's see if Dyche, fingers crossed, like you said, I'm more positive than I'm negative. I'm not going to fully ignore the negativeness because I kind of see it. I do see it. And like I touched on before, you said on the last pod about him being the type of manager he is, it's too soon. But we're in the situation we're in. We haven't won a game in 10. We're not in a everything rosy situation, are we? I'm not saying we're going to go down because that was never once crossed my mind. But we've got a European campaign where we've got 6 games left. If you have a good run in that, you qualify. So we've got the FA Cup coming up. We've got ample amount of games in the Premier League. So there's plenty of time. So I'm on the positive side of the fence, mate. I am.
Yeah. I think one thing I've completely missed off is defending from set pieces. that will hopefully long go and go back to type from last season where we got corners and free kicks against us, and you go, well, do you know what, we'll be all right. Because I got frustrated at Sells at the weekend, and I mean I've been frustrated since he's come in, really, because it's his major weakness is just claiming from crosses. But I know full well this team will now protect him way better than it has done in the last 8 games or whatever it's been under Ange, and even partly under Nuno a little bit towards the end. It got a bit rubbish, but yeah, I'm the same as you. I'm more positive than negative. I just think the fact that he's come through the academy, he's bringing Stone and Wone, as we've mentioned, who are a kind of club legends. I just think that all-round feel-good factor will come back in. I think the place will be rocking Thursday night, hopefully, and if we get that win against Porto, bleeding neck, like I mean, Ava's Grill might be able to let off some fireworks that might nearly gone out of date, but it'll be good, and I'm excited for it. So, yeah, bring on utter woke nonsense, head banging with goths in Rock City, gravelly voice, and just gesticulating on the sideline of just shouting at people and shouting at referees, hopefully, because you know what you're going to get off him, and I think that almost wins people over just in that sense, doesn't it? Just a bit of character, a bit of something about you.
That's the thing. Like, I feel like Andrew's pressers came across all wrong. They came across negative, arrogant almost. They just weren't very good. It was I, and not us and we. Like you said, in his first press conference, it'll be us, we, fans. Like, I seen someone on TNT get interviewed, and they said he hasn't bought into the fans, and they got slated for it. All the opposition fans, he's only been 8 games. But it's simple. If you're relatable, you communicate well with the fans. Like you said, he'll front up questions instead of backing down. I want a trophy for my second season. I feel like it was just cop outs from Ange, very arrogant cop outs. So I feel like that will get people on board instantly. instantly, and he's a relatable character in terms of he's always in the pub in Nottingham. Do you know what I mean? It's just little things
No,
like that.
he'll be like getting in the pints in like
Yeah,
TBI after the game or wherever.
it's just little things like that. They're relatable, and that's what breeds confidence on the pitch. Like you just touched on Sells, then like 50% of a goalkeeper's game is trusting what's in front of him. If you don't trust what's in front of him, he's worried. And the past couple of games, especially Sells, you can say he's a shadow of himself. He's even his passing and his kicking. He's planting bombs to Zinchenko. He killed Zinchenko about 3 or 4 times away at Burnley, and then obviously at the weekend, like the way he's passing the ball on a carpet as well. May I add, he's giving knee passes, and it's like things like that where that's just confidence.
Yeah,
Where it's trusting himself. He's having confidence in himself and his defenders in front of him. That will breed from the first set piece that we don't conceive from, then the second free kick we don't conceive from, and then that just slowly builds from there.
Just need a clean sheet as well, don't we?
Yeah, and obviously clean sheet will be you'll see it on Sells' face after the game. He'll be absolutely buzzing, and then we'll have our keeper that got nominated for the Yashin Award back, fingers crossed, and we'll have our big Serbian warrior back who had a brick wall. So once that comes back, I think the doubters will be soon turned into believers, to be honest.
Why can I imagine just Jai Cunha getting announced in the start 11 and you see him at right back because he's absolutely massive.
Mate, the thing is, you've got to back it if that's the case. You've got to, because it's what he knows. It's what he tried. It's tried and tested. It's trusted. You've got to back it. I do think we'll see Savona or even Jai Cunha at right back. I don't think we'll see Zinchenko a lot because
he can't defend. He cannot defend to save his life.
I think I put it in our chat. I think with him, the first couple of games, you could see what he could bring to the team. Burnley away, I thought he was decent. Obviously, for the goal, it was a bit calamity, but defensively, it's just no good, is it? It's really bad. It's like if you put me at right back, I'd be the same. Like I just haven't got a defensive bone in my body. I haven't got one, and I don't think he has. Technically, on the ball, he's a brilliant footballer, but he lacks pace and he's not very good defensively. That doesn't bode well for a fullback. It just doesn't. No. Well, and it can be utilised. Don't get me wrong, he can be utilised. He can play number 10. He can play in the 8. He can play central defensive midfield. He can be utilised. And there will be times, similar to Yates, where Zinchenko will be needed. But I'll be very, very surprised if by Sunday Zinchenko is on the bench, in the team. If he isn't on the bench, I'll be gobsmacked.
Yeah,
I'll be absolutely gobsmacked.
No, I agree with that. I know we've not talked about the Porto game coming up on Thursday. We're going to do some previews and stuff, but just a quick word on that game. With now a new manager at the helm, will soon to be announced as we record this. How are you feeling about the Porto game, and what's your prediction for it?
I wouldn't say I'm confident because they're absolutely flying, aren't they? They're obviously a good team, but I think with the quality that we've got, like I say, if Dyche can get into them early, it looks like he's going to have a couple of sessions at least before then. I do fancy us. Like, this is what I mean. I never fancied us under Ange, ever. I didn't fancy us, and it's just brought that back in me where I've got that little. I'm looking forward to watching it again because I like I said, they're a good team. They've got that manager, aren't they? Who's come in and he's absolutely ridiculous. And
he looks about 15, doesn't he?
Yeah, he looks like a baby. But they've got a few good players. But on the whole, you'd look at our squad and argue it's possibly better. You would, obviously, on paper. On form, no, clearly it's not. But football isn't played in that sense. I think once the fans buy into it and the fans get behind us, like I think Reece has said before, forget that Midtjylland game. This is our first game in Europe for me. This is home game. Sorry, this is our first home game in Europe. Let's go at them. Let's see what happens. And like you said, if we get a positive result, which I'm going to predict we do, I think we're gonna win 1-0.
Yeah, mate, I'll take it all day. Bundled in by like a shin, like a big old shin pad.
I don't care about style. I don't care how we score the goal. I don't even care how we defend, as long as it's effective. Boom it up in the air as high as you can. Hit the floodlights if you have to. Just, do you know what I mean? Just do anything we've got to do to get a win and a clean sheet, and we build on it, and then we'll slowly see our Forest coming back.
Yeah, I think it will be. I think it'll be basic. I think it'll be back to basics, keeping it simple. defend first and then attack. And I don't think it will be that like route one or rugged as people may think. I just think he'll be like, let's get the ball, let's get it out wide, get crosses into the box, let's put pressure on them, let's win our duels. Do you like just sort of normal like Saturday 3 p.m. on your local park kind of instructions? I've got that feeling about that's what he'll go back to, and then I think that will just build from there. And yeah, I'm the same as you. I'm looking forward to going again because we haven't got this arrogant. I'm not going to swear on here, but arrogant bloke in charge who can't get behind because it's just all about him. But no, we'll see what happens, and I'm sure we'll be talking about it till pastures new. Hopefully, with this, and hopefully some good times to come back because we bloody need them. I definitely need them. But thank you very much, Mason. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, when we'll be previewing the Porto game. I mean, I never thought I'd be saying that a few years ago. So yeah, Porto, ex-European champions meeting each other. So we can't sing Champions of Europe. You'll never sing that if you were born after the year 2003, guys. Just to let you know. So until next time, and if you can check out our sponsors, Trentside Threads, threads.co.uk. Use the code RSOT, so that's RSOTT for 10% off. Go check them out, and we'll see you next time. Come on, you Reds.